Impossible to please people. Do you have one of those in your life where no matter what you do, this person is unhappy, miserable, complaining, upset, mad at you? Impossible to please. I think all of us have somebody in our life that's like that. Proverbs 26:20 says, without wood, a fire goes out. Without gossip, a quarrel dies down. That's going to be the secret that I'm going to help you use when dealing with an impossible to please person. And Proverbs 25:24 expresses how hard it is to live with someone like that. Better to live on a corner of the roof than share a house with a quarrelsome person. Actually, it says wife, but you know what? I know that there are quarrelsome people that are men and women, and it doesn't just have to be a wife. So first of all, let's talk about the impossible to please person. Let's describe them. They're unreasonable, okay? They are not going to listen to reason. Common sense, out the door. They want more than they should want. They're too picky. They expect more than they should expect. They are not willing to listen to rational arguments. They're not willing to listen to you explain and to ask them to adjust their expectations. They're completely unreasonable. They won't take circumstances into consideration when you explain why you're late or why you forgot to do something or why you're struggling or why you're upset. It's just completely unreasonable. Second one is they are moody. Moody means to have like dark mood changes, to go from one thing to another, to kind of ruminate and sit there and think about the negative and the hard and the difficult things and to be unhappy. And that's kind of how they are. You never know if they're going to be okay or not okay. They can shift their mood from one thing to another, and you can't predict it. So in a way, you kind of will try to walk on eggshells and feel like, okay, how can I please this person? What do I need to do? And so you might anticipate how you can please this person. You might anticipate what you need to do, or you might anticipate with dread being around that person because you know about the moodiness. Or the minute that you look at this person and you notice that the mood is there, you might just want to run and feel like completely overwhelmed. Or you might take it on and think, what have I done to make this person feel this way? What have I done to make this person upset with me? I must have done something. That's taking it on. You're not supposed to do that, but we'll talk about that in a minute. They're defensive. Defensive means reactive. So no matter what you point out to them, they're not going to see their own problems. They're going to see yours. They're going to see yours when it doesn't even exist. They're critical, and they're going to point out to you what's wrong. But when you say to them, you did this and this, or this is what's going on, or could you please look at this? They're not going to be able to look at themselves. It's going to be completely defensive. The other thing is they're chronic victims. And what does it mean to be a chronic victim? A chronic victim means chronic means continual or frequent. Victim means they're a victim of their circumstances. In other words, they're going to act like it's not their fault. There's nothing they can do. They can't have things any different. It's horrible what's happened to them. Life isn't fair. Things aren't right. Everybody picks on them. So a chronic victim. So this is going to be somebody who, no matter what, even if they're something that they did, this person or he or she did, this person is going to turn it around so that he or she is the victim, to where you're going to have to kind of almost go along with, this person's going to want you to go along with absolving them of any responsibility in anything. And then the next one is self-focused. Self-focused means self-focused. It means not able to put the focus on others, not able to take it off themselves. It's like self-centered. Everything is about them. Possible to please people. Everything's about them. The world revolves around them. Their needs are all that matters. Your needs don't matter. You have to recognize what's going on with them, but not talk about yourself. And no matter how easily they're upset, and they don't take any responsibility for that. It's always your fault. And they don't care about how they affect you, but they certainly are sensitive to how you are treating them. So sensitive that you can barely even do it right because they're impossible to please, but they're really not concerned with how they affect you. So what can you do? Well, number one, with anybody that you deal with that has problems and is difficult, you got to recognize what you're dealing with. If you don't start from there, you're going to continually be on figuring out what you're going to do and how you're going to respond. You're going to be confused. So first of all, you got to look at this person and say, aha, this is an impossible to please person. I will never do enough to make this my mother happy. I will never do enough to earn my critical father's favor. I will never do enough to make my moody husband or wife happy. I will never be able to overcome this chronic victim mentality this person has. I'm not going to try. I'm not going to take the responsibility for fixing this person and pleasing this person. It's very important. So first of all, you are not going to argue with them. You are not going to convince these people that you're right and they're wrong. You are not going to play the game and defend yourself and explain. You're not going to take on the responsibility for their problems, for their feelings, for their issues. You got to learn to detach. I talk to you a lot about detachment. Detachment means that you're able to separate yourself and step back and see things objectively. So you're not going to take on this person's criticism, their complaint, their unhappiness, their unreasonableness, and you're not going to take on the responsibility of trying to please an impossible to please person. Thank you very much for watching this video on Change My Relationship.